Has General McCasland been kidnapped? Now at a critical turning point, the investigation has shifted to a high-priority federal case. With no leads and little evidence, authorities are left with three possible scenarios to explain the sudden and mysterious disappearance of McCasland from his home in Albuquerque on February 27th. Let's take a look. This is what they know right now. The timeline. This is an incredibly narrow 1-hour window. At 10 a.m., a repairman was at the home and had a normal interaction with McCasland. That's a little bit of a window into his state of mind at the time. Seemed pretty normal. At 11:10, his wife Susan left for a medical appointment. At 12:04, his wife returned home to find him gone. McCasland had vanished within approximately 54 minutes without leaving a single trace on any security camera in the entire neighborhood. Despite contacting over 700 homeowners, they have zero footage of him. It's getting harder for investigators to believe he simply walked off into the foothills, never to be seen again. And the FBI is now using intelligence tools to see if he was picked up by a vehicle or if he was purposefully trying to avoid detection. The third thing they know so far, they have found a sweatshirt. The gray sweatshirt found near his home has yielded no clues and might not even belong to him. As for the gun, they have confirmed that a .38 caliber revolver and leather holster are in fact missing from the home. The fourth thing they know is the wallet. His wallet is missing and presumably with him. Unlike his phone and watch and prescription eyeglasses that were left behind. Number 5, they are now looking into McCasland's, quote, legacy involvement with sensitive programs regarding the type of highly classified work he did with the Air Force Research Laboratory, exactly what his wife has tried to downplay and steer us all away from. Now it's a prime focus of the FBI investigation, especially with the timing of the UAP and ET disclosure. So where does this leave us regarding what could have possibly happened to General McCasland? Well, there are three scenarios that have come to the forefront based on the timeline, his legacy, and the missing items, and the ones left behind that we just discussed. The first theory is extraction. McCasland could have been taken from his home involuntarily in a vehicle. This theory could definitely link to his legacy involvement and explain the missing gun and the tracking devices that he left behind purposefully, the eyeglasses left behind as if in a hurry, and the lack of any digital evidence of him leaving on foot or walking in the area. The second theory is called the prepared encounter theory. McCasland could have been planning to meet someone and was picked up in their vehicle. This theory could also very much link to his legacy involvement and explain the fact that he felt the need to arm himself, and having his wallet may point to an intention to travel or give him options for evasion. The third theory is self-harm. A very fit and active 68-year-old man with an undisclosed medical issue, possibly facing a sudden and permanent change to his entire lifestyle, may have led to a final walk scenario. This could explain the missing gun. It would explain the silver alert, although there has been no comment or report about his state of mind or mood other than the interaction with the repairman prior to his disappearance, or even what the medical issue is. It could explain why he left everything behind except his wallet, but it cannot explain the lack of camera footage, not to mention that no physical trace of him has been detected by search dogs, search teams, or any of the advanced technology being used in this case. Even the sweatshirt has not yet been confirmed as even belonging to him. At this point, my own feeling is that this is theory number 1, extraction. I think he was kidnapped. That this is actually a containment issue on a very deep and shadowy level of the government. It's interesting that authorities are no longer even considering the possibility of an accident or a medical event due to the timeline, the missing gun, and the statistically impossible lack of any camera footage. On top of all this, there is another strange thing about this case that I have observed. See what you think about it. It has to do with his wife, Susan Wilkerson. I find Susan's behavior strange in that she only issued a silver alert for the entire first week of her husband's sudden disappearance, a massively limited, understated, and potentially misleading way to start the search. He's a very fit man. He does not have dementia, as she did state clearly, and did not simply wander away from home. Susan's lengthy and concerted attempts to downplay any connection with her husband's Air Force Research Laboratory work and the UAP community, and the president's order to release those very records, rather noteworthy and misleading. Her wording in one sentence is particularly telling, where she refers to the bodies and debris from the Roswell crash that are stored at Wright Pat as 3 given facts with no qualifiers of any kind at any point. Coming from a former USAF officer and scientist who would be accustomed to balancing public speaking with careful management of classified information, I find this extremely revealing of her true thoughts, as opposed to an accidental slip of the tongue. My own theory about McCasland's wife is that she's scared. I think that they had a visit or a warning from so-called men in black. Immediately after President Trump announced his order on February 20th, the announcement that stopped me dead in my tracks when I heard it, and that was to immediately declassify and release all records and documents on extraterrestrial life. General McCasland knew those records very well. He knew where every shred of evidence was held, and he had demonstrated a willingness just a few years ago to work with the UAP community for public disclosure. There could be no doubt he would be the first to be called in on the president's directive. But before he could even get that call, I think he and his wife got a shocking visit from some unknown men who issued them a grave warning, possibly even a threat. Just as Albert Bender had received, the Lucchese brothers, that they had witnessed so long ago. Their lives were changed forever. They didn't physically disappear, but they were silenced. And I think this visit would have set McCasland on extreme edge, feeling as though his every move was being watched. And it probably was. Fearing for his life and his wife's, to the point of carrying a firearm in the few days leading up to his disappearance. And then, the one opportunity where his wife briefly left the house and McCasland was left alone, the men who had been watching them entered the house, disarmed McCasland, put him into their vehicle, and took him someplace we will probably never know. To me, that would account for Susan's words and behavior. She needs to find her husband. She knows that he knows the truth. So she needs to be very careful about how she goes about this, because her own life might be threatened as well. This scenario would also account for McCasland's items that were missing, as well as those left behind. It would account for the connection to the timing of the president's order, and the likelihood of McCasland being called up for the job due to his extensive knowledge, and also his openness to public disclosure. But what do you think? I'm interested to hear your thoughts and theories about this. And while we're hoping for a safe return of General McCasland, it is unfortunately looking grimmer by the day. And meanwhile, my heart goes out to his wife, truly. I can only imagine what she must be going through. Thank you for watching, and be safe out there.